Hello, this is Charles, and welcome to my crime story channel. Today we are diving into a horrible case that took place in Mingxing Village, Zhashui County, Shaanxi Province in China. On the night of August 13, 2004, a man armed with nothing but an axe broke into a neighbor's home and massacred an entire family of 8. Among the victims, one woman's head was severed. What's more shocking is that the tragedy was later linked to a rape case from 5 years earlier, showing how long-held grievances can spiral into unimaginable violence. In the early hours of August 13, 2004, an urgent phone call jolted the local police station into action. The caller, sounding terrified, reported there's been a triple murder at Yang Yongyuan's house. Police Chief Yang Yebing and his officers immediately rushed to the scene, only to find Yang Rongyuan and his 2 children lying in the pools of blood. The officer quickly informed Yang Rongwen is Yang Rongyuan's younger brother, who lived nearby. When they arrived at Yang Rongwen's house, they were met with silence. The door was slightly ajar, and when they pushed it open, a strong smell of blood hit them. Inside, they discovered 5 more bodies. Most horrifyingly, Yang Rongwen's wife, Yu Xiaojun, had been decapitated, her head missing from the scene. The murder of 8 people in a single night shocked Zhashui County, marking it as one of the most heinous crimes the area had ever seen. The Xiaoliang police station wasted no time and reported the case to the County Police Security Bureau, leading to the rapid formation of the Major Homicide Task Force. Investigators immediately began identifying the victims and piecing together clues to uncover the killer's identity. After forensic examinations and family confirmations, the 8 victims were identified. The first one is Yang Rongyuan, the homeowner, and his 2 young children. Yang Rongwen, which is Yang Rongyuan's younger brother, and we have Yu Xiaojun, Yang Rongwen's wife, who was decapitated by the killer. And then we have Yu Xiaojun's 2 children, a 4-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. And we have Yu Xiaojun's 80-year-old grandfather. All 8 victims died from axe wounds, with investigators noting the similarity in technique and the close timing of their deaths, strongly suggesting that a single individual committed the murders. Through interviews with local villagers near the crime scene, the task force learned of the suspicious sighting on the night of the murders. A tall man in a raincoat was seen carrying an axe and heading towards Yang Rongwen's house. As the puzzle pieces came together, the task force narrowed down their investigations to 3 primary suspects: Shi Rong, Yu Xiaojun's ex-husband; Yang Rongwen's ex-wife's brother, who had a known history of violence; Jian Xueliang, a local villager with a criminal record for rape, previously imprisoned for assaulting Yu Xiaojun. So let's talk about Shi Rong. Shi Rong and Yu Xiaojun had divorced years ago due to family objections to their marriage. At the time of the murders, Shi Rong had a solid alibi. He was watching TV with his wife and children. Yang Rongwen's ex-wife's brother, known for his violent tendencies and frequent fights. This suspect had a potential motive tied to his sister's acrimonious divorce from Yang Rongwen. His sister had expressed that she would never forgive Yang Rongwen, raising the possibility that her brother acted on her behalf. However, upon investigation, police discovered that the brother had been hospitalized with severe injuries from 5 days before the murders, giving him another solid alibi. So the focus now goes to the Jian Xueliang, the 3rd suspect. With the other suspects ruled out, the evidence pointed out squarely at Jian Xueliang. Jian Xueliang had previously served time for raping Yu Xiaojun. Since his release, he had expressed anger and resentment toward her, frequently causing disturbance at her clothing store. His tall stature earned him a nickname, Big Guy, matching the description of the raincoat-wearing figure seen on the night of the murders. The axe used in the murders was recovered from the crime scene. Forensic analysis revealed Jian Xueliang's fingerprints on the axe. Jian Xueliang's child identified the axe as belonging to the family, confirming that it had gone missing. As for the motif, Jian Xueliang harbored a deep grudge against Yu Xiaojun for her role in his imprisonment, and had a clear motive for the crime. With both physical evidence and eyewitness accounts, the police concluded that Jian Xueliang was the perpetrator of the massacre of 8 people, including women and children, in Yang Rongwen's family. Jian Xueliang, born in 1969, hailed from the remote mountains village of Mingxing, located in Xialiang, Zhashui County, Shaanxi Province. Jian Xueliang grew up a family of modest means, where he began helping his parents with farm work from a young age. Like most villages, his family depended on farming for their livelihood. In addition to farming, Jian Xueliang picked up a useful trade, masonry, which allowed him to earn extra income beyond agricultural work. As an adult, Jian Xueliang presented himself as a hardworking and reliable man. Standing at around 180 centimeters tall, his height and demeanor gave him the impression of a kind-hearted and diligent young man. Villagers viewed him as honest and unassuming, with no one associating him with words like lecherous or dangerous. When Jian Xueliang reached marriageable age, his family arranged a match for him. The woman agreed to the marriage, seeing Jian Xueliang as a hardworking and dependable man, even though they had no emotional connection before marriage. After the wedding, Jian Xueliang worked outside the home, while his wife managed household affairs. The couple's life was relatively harmonious, and soon they were blessed with a son. The arrival of the child gave Jian Xueliang a sense of responsibility, and he began working even harder to provide a better life for his family. As time went on, Jian Xueliang began to feel bored and restless with his mundane routine. Despite his family harmony, he started craving novelty and excitement. This desire for stimulation led Jian Xueliang to develop a growing interest in his neighbor, Yu Xiaojun. Jian Xueliang's neighbors, the Yang's family, made a living by selling medicine herbs. Yu Xiaojun, the wife of Yang Rongwen, the Yang's family's second son, was known in the village for her beauty. Jian Xueliang, who had always admired her from afar, began paying close attention to her. Jian Xueliang's interest deepened when he noticed that his wife and Yu Xiaojun had become close friends. Curious, he asked his wife about their relationship. The wife explained, "The men in Yu Xiaojun's family are often away for long periods gathering and preparing medicine herbs. She's usually at home and needs someone to talk to. That's why we have started chatting regularly." This revelation only fueled Jian Xueliang's fixation on Yu Xiaojun, setting the stage for the tragedy that would unfold years later. At first, Jian Xueliang's interactions with Yu Xiaojun were purely casual and harmless. However, as time passed, his desire for her grew, and he sought an opportunity to get closer to her under the guise of being a concerned neighbor. He began to frequent her house, making excuses to speak with her. But Yu Xiaojun, seeing him as a kind and harmless man, did not think much of it. One day, on September 16, 1999, Jian Xueliang heard that the Yang Rongwen, Yu Xiaojun's husband, was away working. Yu Xiaojun was alone at home. Jian Xueliang saw this as an opportunity and began pretending to pass by her house multiple times to confirm that she was by herself. When he was sure that Yang Rongwen wasn't home, Jian Xueliang devised a plan. He walked up to the house and knocked on the door. He asked Yu Xiaojun, "My TV is broken and I'm so bored at home. Can I borrow your TV for a little while?" Without any suspicion, Yu Xiaojun kindly led him inside and offered him a seat to watch television together. While Yu Xiaojun was absorbed in watching TV, Jian Xueliang's eyes were fixated on her. Soon, he claimed to be thirsty and asked her to get him a glass of water. As she turned to get the water, Jian Xueliang seized the opportunity. He hugged her from behind, catching her off guard. Yu Xiaojun screamed and fought back, but her struggles were no match for Jian Xueliang's strength and size. Unable to escape his grasp, Yu Xiaojun was sexually assaulted by Jian Xueliang. Afterwards, Jian Xueliang nonchalantly tossed a few dozen RMB at her and walked out, leaving her shocked and devastated. When Yang Rongwen returned home from work, he immediately noticed that his wife was in a distraught state. Concerned, he asked her what had happened. After hearing Yu Xiaojun's account of the assault, Yang Rongwen's anger erupted. He stormed off to Jian Xueliang's house, armed with a hoe. Though Jian Xueliang felt a sense of guilt and fear for what he had done, he couldn't avoid Yang Rongwen's confrontation. When they meet outside, Jian Xueliang and Yang Rongwen began to wrestle. However, Yang Rongwen was physically weaker than Jian Xueliang, and he was soon overpowered and knocked to the ground. In a fit of rage, Yang Rongwen ran to the police station to file a report seeking justice for his wife's assault. During the investigation of the rape case, Jian Xueliang claimed that he and Yu Xiaojun had been engaged in an affair for some time. He stated that due to Yang Rongwen's frequent absence, a lonely Yu Xiaojun initiated the relationship. Jian Xueliang even alleged that on one occasion, he had given Yu Xiaojun 70 RMB after they were intimate, which she initially refused but later accepted. However, Yu Xiaojun vehemently denied Jian Xueliang's allegation, maintaining that she had never been involved with Jian Xueliang. Jian Xueliang had repeatedly harassed her and even attempted to lure her with money, but she had always rejected him. The question of whether or not Jian Xueliang and Yu Xiaojun had a prior sexual relationship remained unclear, as there was no concrete evidence to prove or disprove Jian Xueliang's claims. Opinions in the village were divided. Some villagers and friends of both families suspected that there may have been flirtation or ambiguous interactions between the two before the assault. Jian Xueliang's wife also accused Yu Xiaojun, claiming that she had seduced Jian Xueliang, thus absolving her husband of full responsibility. Regardless of any prior history, it was undeniable that Jian Xueliang had raped Yu Xiaojun on the day in question. The Zhashui County People's Court found Jian Xueliang guilty of rape and sentenced him to 5 years in prison. During his time in prison, Jian Xueliang reportedly displayed good behavior, which led to his sentence being reduced from 5 years to 4 years. So in 2003, he was released 1 year earlier. While in prison, Jian Xueliang felt an overwhelming sense of guilt toward his wife and family. Limited communication with the outside world only deepened his anxiety, and he prepared himself for the possibility of being abandoned by his wife and child. To his surprise, upon his release, he had found that his wife had not only forgiven him, but had worked tirelessly to support the family during his incarceration. His father and wife had spent all of the family's savings trying to appeal his sentence. To make ends meet, Jian Xueliang's wife even competed with men on construction sites, carrying bricks and sand, grueling physical labor to provide for the family. Hearing about his family's struggles filled Jian Xueliang with remorse and determination. He vowed to work hard and provide his wife and child with a better life moving forward. The stigma also affected Jian Xueliang's wife and sons. His son was ostracized by classmates, ridiculed for having a father who had been to prison. His wife continued to endure grueling work to keep the family afloat, but now had to contend with the shame and gossip associated with Jian Xueliang's crime. Feeling increasingly unwelcome in his village, Jian Xueliang was forced to leave. He moved to the county town, where he found work as a mason. Despite securing a job, Jian Xueliang's idle thoughts often turned to the contempt he faced from the villagers, his family's struggles, and his son's unhappiness. In his mind, all these problems stemmed from Yu Xiaojun. Jian Xueliang believed that Yu Xiaojun's accusation had ruined his life, destroyed his reputation, and caused his family suffering. Over time, his resentment transformed into a deep-seated hatred. Through inquiries, Jian Xueliang discovered that Yu Xiaojun had opened a clothing store in the city, which was reportedly doing very well. Her store brought in a steady income, and she lived a comfortable life with her husband, Yang Rongwen, and their 2 children. The couple's relationship remained strong, and their children were thriving. Hearing about Yu Xiaojun's success not only intensified Jian's anger, while he and his family struggled to survive, Yu Xiaojun seemed to live without consequence, further fueling his perception that she had ruined his life for no reason. Unable to let go of his hatred, Jian Xueliang began visiting Yu Xiaojun's store to cause trouble. He frequently showed up to shout accusations at her, loudly claims that she was immoral and had seduced him, His disruptive behavior drove customers away, causing a noticeable drop in sales. While the damages to Yu Xiaojun's store provided Jian Shuliang with some temporary satisfaction, his hatred toward her only grew stronger over time. The more he stewed on the events of the past, the more he felt that Yu Xiaojun was to blame for everything wrong in his life. By August 13, 2004, Jian Shuliang's pent-up resentment and rage had reached a boiling point. Years of bitterness culminated into a desire for revenge, leading him to commit the massacre that claimed 8 lives in the Yang's family. Public outrage and his final confession on the morning of September 14, 2004 at 8 a.m. The police convoy transporting Jian Shuliang arrived at the Zhashui County Police Court. News of the Yang family massacre had spread far and wide, drawing over 1,000 villagers who crowded outside the courthouse to witness the trial. People from nearby villages made the journey on foot, climbing mountains terrain to reach the courthouse. The police vehicle carrying Jian Shuliang was immediately surrounded by the angry mob. The crowd was so dense that the court's small yard, measuring less than 100 square meters, was soon overflowing with people. It took the combined efforts of police and armed security to clear a pass, allowing the vehicle to enter the courthouse. The trial began at 10:20 a.m. and for nearly 2 hours, the court heard detailed testimonies, evidence, and arguments about the massacre. During the trial, Jian Shuliang admitted to all charges, describing how his hatred for Yu Xiaojun and her family led him to commit the atrocity. When the court reached the final stage of the trial, the presiding judge asked Jian Shuliang, "Do you admit your guilt?" "Yes, I killed them. 8 people in total." When asked if he had any final remarks, Jian Shuliang seemed to summon all his energy and requested permission to make a final statement of repentance. Standing before the court, he addressed the judge and the villagers present with what he claimed was a heartfelt confession. "Honorable court and my fellow villagers, I deeply regret my actions and the tragedy I caused. I have let down my parents, my loving wife, and my child. I've brought pain and suffering to my relatives, friends, and neighbors. I am ashamed of what I have done to those I murdered. I offer my deepest apologies for the financial losses and emotional anguish I have caused them. I hope their families can find peace despite the pain I have inflicted. If there is another life after this one, I am willing to repay my debt as a cow or horse." The court ultimately convicted Jian Shuliang of intentional homicide and sentenced him to death. He was also stripped of political rights for life. Additionally, Jian Shuliang was ordered to pay 12,000 RMB in compensation to the victim's family. Jian Shuliang's wife, who had quietly listened to the trial proceedings from outside the courtroom, collapsed when she heard the court's death sentence. At 11:70 a.m., Jian Shuliang was escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Seeing his wife crying uncontrollably, he paused and said to her, "Don't spend any more money on me. Don't collect my body." With those words, he turned away, refusing to look back as he boarded the police vehicle. As the car began to leave the courthouse, Jian Shuliang's wife ran forward, desperate to speak with him one last time. She was stopped by armed police and left sobbing on the ground, watching the police vehicle disappear in the distance. On the morning of September 27, 2004, Jian Shuliang was executed by firing squad for his crimes. Before his execution, a judge asked him if he regretted what he had done. Jian Shuliang replied, "I regret it now, but it's too late for regrets." Jian Shuliang's story is one of wasted opportunities and a descent into darkness. Despite his poor upbringing, Jian Shuliang's wife remained steadfastly loyal, and his family provided him with support. If Jian Shuliang had lived up to the diligent and honest image he portrayed to others, he could have had a peaceful and stable family life. As a mason and farmer, Jian Shuliang could have provided for his wife and child and earned the respect of his community. However, Jian Shuliang's lust and controlled emotions set him on a path of destruction. From the moment he violated Yu Xiaojun, the seeds of tragedy were sown. By the time he took his revenge, the fates of two families had already been irreparably shattered. I'm Charles, dedicated to bringing you in-depth case analysis. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button. Have a case you would like me to cover? Feel free to share it in the comment section. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.